everybody, and welcome to Dice Jailers. I'm Jordan,
I'm Bjorn.
and this week we are going to talk about our favorite one-shots and things about one-shots that we really love.
Right.
In
Awesome.
order to get everything in theme for this Saturday, which will be phenomenal. We're going to start at 5 p.m. and we are going to do our own little one-shot special. Bjorn is going to be DMing. I'll be playing in it, and some of our other players, which we haven't told the internet yet, but I figure why not now. Uh, we have our friend who's been on the show before, the lovely DM of Antiheroes Anonymous, my buddy Ethan Dill. He'll be playing for us. We also have my buddy Andrew Shanks, who is one of the head writers and also the producer on the podcast The Ugly Radio, which you should all listen to because I will occasionally show up and voice a character.
Which is
And we also
the best reasons to listen in and of itself.
absolutely. Also, it's just an amazing podcast. It's
It's
really
awesome.
good.
It's
And I'm
always
really proud of him for putting it basically all together himself, besides crowdsourcing Seattle theater for writing and for voices.
yeah. And
But
then
like,
lastly, she was our first guest, wasn't she?
yes, she was our
Our,
first guest of the
very first
show.
guest. JD Master Monica will be popping in to join us. So yeah, it'll be good times, and we'll see what sort of nonsense and awesomeness the players get up to.
I'm
Because yeah,
I'm excited for
as
what nonsense we get up to because that means our characters are going to probably have some curry.
yeah, yeah. No, I see what you went there. I
Yep,
like it.
yep,
I mean, if I'm gonna go food with one shots, I always go to pasta.
that's fair.
I think mom's spaghetti because you only get one shot.
It's true.
Mhm.
So dumb. I love
I
us.
know the jokes.
But before we start talking about one shot things, now that we've got our announcements up and through, uh,
Yes.
how have you been, bud?
Oh man, this week has been good and busy. Most of the busy stuff has been work. Trying to get a clinic set up in its new building, naturopathic and mental health services, and yeah, just seeing this business grow, and all of a sudden having them ask me, "Hey, where do you see your role in this company going forward?" I've never been asked that in a realm that actually meant something, because
Damn.
a lot of my previous work experience that isn't performance has been a lot of corporate nonsense. And generally, in the back of my mind, it's getting the hell out of here.
Right.
For this, they're actually going to be tapping my performance background. And pretty soon, we're going to have lots of how to videos for patients. I mean, they'll be silly and stupid and wonderful, but I have a bunch of costumes from the Shakespeare Fest in the back of my car. And so I am going to be doing various scenes and stuff for these. Will I show up wearing a doublet, holding a skull that's wearing a top hat? Maybe. Who knows? We'll see what I come up with.
That's
But
phenomenal.
yeah, and they're going to pay me to do this. Like, this is going to be part of my job, because they went, well, I mean, you're a performer, so why don't we make it entertaining? And I went, I have no shame.
Whoa, whoa,
So
whoa, 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 whoa. An employer actually recognizing and like giving you credit for the skills that you have
I know,
in
right?
the entertainment world. That's a lot.
There's a reason that I actually, for the first time in my life, like my day job.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
That's tough to
it's
find. I mean, tougher to find with existence, but like that's tough to find even when we're not all staying home to be safe.
ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Well, and speaking of work, before we came on here, asking you how you're doing, you got some good news, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I got some good news. Just some stuff that I'm doing with teaching and doing workshops along with theater. Just found out that we got booked a bit more than we planned for, which means more things for me to do, more teaching I get to do, more more kids' lives I get to impact, and also more money for me.
All of which is amazing.
Which money, love it. Don't really love it, but need it. So,
Yeah,
it's a necessary evil, you know.
truth.
Yeah. Uh, anything else besides good work stuff going on for you?
I mean, really, right now it's that, and then working on the campaign I'm running that you've been a part of for
Hmm.
2 years now, and starting the groundwork for campaign 2
Yeah,
that I want
yay!
to run. Yeah,
I'm so
so
excited.
slowly starting to build my own world for that, using a lot of different sites. Dungeon Fog, World Anvil, D&D Beyond, all the ones that
Hmm.
you hear about a lot. But yeah, slowly building that process, starting to find some books that I want to read on different mythologies of different cultures, where just using sort of your cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, and getting into the in betweens a little, trying to decide which cultures I'm going to have represent which ones primarily.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler: the North is going to be Vikings. I mean, that's my wheelhouse, is Norse mythology. But
What? With a name like Bjorn, I never would have guessed.
who would have thought? But yeah, but actually, one thing that has been kind of cool about growing up in the Pacific Northwest is I've been lucky enough in both elementary school and a bit in middle school to have been exposed to a fair amount. I say fair amount comparatively to most of the U.S. Not saying it was a worthwhile amount, but Native American stories, indigenous
Mm-hmm.
people. And so I really am kind of thinking of doing some more research, reading on those. I have a couple friends work with tribes and some who are tribal members, that just talking with them, finding out, where to look for some of these stories,
Right.
because any polytheistic uh, group of people, whether it's indigenous peoples, the Norse, the Greeks, whatever, you have a lot of archetypical deities show up. You have, someone who's all about wisdom, and you have something about the harvest, and there's always a trickster. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I might use them. This is a really long-winded way of saying, if I can find some good lore where I feel like I'm doing justice to some of those stories to put as part of the mythos of the campaign, that may be the West.
Well, I know one of my favorite because I also growing up in the Northwest learned only a couple things about Native American folklore and what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah,
Like,
but I really just guess it's folklore and folk tales. Is the tale of Thunderbird and Whale.
yep,
Super dope, hands down one of my favorites.
good story.
Just because it's also such just the way that the folk tale is set up. It is set up as like an epic tale that just screams, I need a full animated video of this
Oh,
with just the best voice actors we can find.
yes, please.
That'd be phenomenal. Uh yeah.
But yeah, that's been the other thing that's been kind of taking up my time, is realizing, oh man, I'm about to have some downtime where I do some reading. And usually when I'm reading, I read like really heavy stuff like history of racism in America, or
Mm,
modern day social justice work, like ways one can make a difference, where to donate, and learning proper history, the kind of chapter you need to drink after.
yeah.
And this will be fun stuff to read, which will be very different. I don't usually read fun things. I usually read very depressing things.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that, and to discover all these stories, because I like stories, and D&D is stories.
100%. I mean, and a lot of those stories you want to tell over long periods of time, but some of them they're great for little bite-sized chunks,
Nugget,
like one-shots.
just like them. I
And
told you before we started, I was grabbing a prop, and this isn't so much
yes,
a prop as it's something that's made multiple appearances on this very show.
I swear if you pull your oh.
Portal. Now,
Oh yeah.
what I love in any book that has multiple adventures in it, it's the reason I grabbed that one. There are lots of ones you can look at. Ghost of Saltmarsh is another great example.
Hmm.
In that, you have these little vignettes in them or little, mini dungeons. They're designed over multiple sessions, but anything that's all in just a few short pages like that, it's easy to carve stuff out and make it into a one shot. Like
Hmm.
the Tomb of Horrors would normally take you multiple sessions to run because of all the
Absolutely.
traps, how much thought is involved. Well, you make a countdown timer on that baby. You take down maybe the lethality of some stuff, only a little,
Yeah.
and you see your players, okay, this is how long you have to solve this before it disappears into the mists. You make it into some like Brigadoon sort of thing,
Yeah.
and you can create a lot of really fun stuff. And I grabbed that one just because I love the adventures in there. I've used one of them as a one shot,
Hmm.
and all I did was it was like a 3 level dungeon. I took out an entire floor of it, um, shortened some of the hallways, and made a couple puzzles easier. And it was a great little fill in episode for campaign. It was a session that I believe you had to miss uh,
Oh.
a long ways back, and um, basically to fill in a week until everybody caught up, there was this tomb they went through.
Oh, was
And
that what they did over the time that my character went on that other mission with the Dragonborn and
oh no, that was completely different altogether. But that
ah.
mission you went on, also taken from Tales from the Yawning Portal.
But so a thing that I really wanted to talk about in this episode about one shots,
Yeah,
because one shots are a beautiful way for someone that has never DM'd before to kind of dip a toe without setting people up for like, okay, we're gonna do this big long campaign, but I don't really know what I'm doing, and it might suck, and we might need to kill it and tweak everything. Like, just do a one shot or two first to really get yourself together. And so, a thing that I want us to talk about is for those first time DMs, grabbing a one shot and going for it. What are some things that really make a good one shot?
I think there needs to be a variety of encounters. And when I say encounters, I don't just mean combat encounters.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be encounters that are role play, and there should be some combat, and ideally a puzzle of some sort in there, or investigation,
Yeah.
detective work. There needs to be opportunities
There needs
for
to be what?
opportunity. Yes, a joke no one watching this understands, but who cares?
Absolutely not. That's just one for we put this up on like Saturday at noon on YouTube because we've got those scheduled now, so you can always count on that
Correct.
when Jamie watches through.
But
Just
yeah,
sit there and just oh son of a
I think it's important to have those moments where whatever type of character somebody's playing, they can shine. Now, if you are a newbie DM, I recommend grabbing a pre-written one shot. You
Hmm.
can find a lot of them for free. You can get some of them very inexpensive on the DM's Guild, which I
Yes.
recommend.
Shout out to DM's Guild.
Yeah, I love DM's Guild. You get a lot of great stuff on there, and plus you can support the creators directly by buying their stuff, and
Yep.
that's why I love it. But yeah, you can find a lot of really cool adventures, and okay, maybe no one who's playing rolled up a barbarian, and maybe there's a big rock they have to move. That's gonna be hilarious with all these low strength characters
Oh
have to
no.
move a boulder.
Just imagining the group of like four halflings just
I know, yeah. The highest strength is a 10, and they have to move a 2-ton boulder. Like, but I think that's what makes a really good one shot is just a clear setup, you know, a few encounters, and then defined conclusion. And it needs to be, I think, a very clear conclusion of either the players win or the players lose. You
Yep.
can have varying levels of that, but in a one shot, if you lose and all your characters die, who cares?
Yep.
It's a
That
one
was a
shot.
thing. Yeah, that was a thing that I was hoping you would mention so I could jump off of it. Is that the personally I think the best thing about one shots is that they're temporary. You can try out those dumb like this character might suck and just see what happens because live or die, succeed or fail. The character's in one shot world.
And off of that, I would encourage any player, if you're playing in a one shot, to do one of two things. One, play that character you've always wanted to play. You're dying to, maybe you're the forever DM. You
Yep.
never get to play. Play that build you're in love with. It can be totally optimized, whatever. It's that half orc barbarian you've wanted to crush stuff with. Yeah, I mean, hey, who do you know that might play one of those?
I don't know.
Yeah. Or conversely, maybe you're going, you know what? How stupid would it be if I dumped Constitution and put an 8 in it? How insane would this be? I'm going to have no hit points and I'm going to play a wizard. And I'm just going to see if I can survive somehow. And I'm going to do it at level 1.
That's how that's how you learn the importance of the spell shield, kids.
Yep, you really do. But I think you should do one or two things. Play that thing you've been dying to play, or just take some just really crazy out there build and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have fun. Well, the example I think of, Nathan in our campaign,
Mhm.
originally he thought of having an extremely low dex for his monk because he thought it'd be funny if his monk was really bad at dexterity.
Yep.
And what I told him was, I go, that would be really funny and a lot of fun for a one shot. If
Yep.
the idea is you think you're Bruce Lee, but you're clearly not. I said, but for like a long form campaign, when you keep failing at what you should be good at over and over and over, you're going to become frustrated, and your party members are going to become frustrated with you.
Also, yes.
Why is this thing you're supposed to be good at? Why can't you do it? But in a one shot, possibilities are limitless.
Yeah. And that's another big thing like for the pro one shot camp is that like and this goes for DMs as well is that the things that you can plan and troubleshoot are so great as well as if you're say playing in a campaign that's very serious trying to get more heavily realistic because all the jokes of D&D being starting like Lord of the Rings and ending like Monty Python
Are accurate.
is that one shots you can just full Monty Python it.
Oh, from jump. From
So
jump.
like it doesn't have to be this like big serious the world is ending because you really don't have the time for the world to end if you're only playing for like 3-4 hours and then that story's done.
Exactly.
And that's one of the beautiful things is that you can have a character concept that makes absolutely no sense and it'll probably still be fine. Like you can have that wizard that or you can have that sorcerer that's pretending to be a wizard uh and who knows, it might not be revealed that you're actually a sorcerer and not a wizard by the end of it. Like you can play that weird uh what was the dumb thing that I thought of the other day? It was a warforged cleric that thinks it's its own deity. Like
Why not? Why
yeah,
not?
why
I
not?
would put myself.
Like it's a one shot. Do it.
Well, and also, particularly if you're playing, like, say, a spellcaster, I think a lot of the fun there can be choosing those spells you would never choose otherwise. Because
Mm. Mm-hmm.
let's face it, there is a certain level of, especially at a low level spellcaster, there's certain utility spells you're going to take for if you're playing either a homebrew campaign or like I'm about to start as a player in a game of Rime of the Frostmaiden,
Right.
which I'm really excited about. I'm gonna play a wizard in it, but for my first level spells, I I took detect magic, I
Mm-hmm.
took identify, I took find familiar. I have a lot of ritual spells that have a lot of utility because I'm going well from level 1 to level 13. I'm going to cast these a lot, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad I knew them the whole time. if I'm playing at level 1 in a one shot, I know full damn well I'm probably not casting Detect Magic or Identify.
You're probably
Plus,
not taking the time to cast any ritual spells for that matter.
no. And for nothing else, if someone's like, "Well, what if it's a cursed item?" I'm like, "It's a one shot. I don't care.
Yeah.
This isn't
Like,
going to affect us 3 weeks down the line, guys."
yeah, like, oh no, I'm cursed for 15 minutes.
Exactly. I'm gonna look at what spells look fun, as
Yeah.
opposed to, okay, I need to optimize, because in a campaign, and I think you'd agree with me, you have to think about what's going to help your party members and not just what's going to help yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
One
unless
shot.
unless you're playing that weird ass, loner character, and then you're probably going to get kicked out of that group soon enough. Unless you're really really good at role playing it. Uh
Yeah.
because like for the longest time Critical Role campaign 2, like Liam O'Brien's character of Caleb, like for a while he role played it out where he wasn't really going to stick with this group. He was just here with Not. But then, they all become close and he stops being that lone wolf. Uh
which which goes into how the different type of character you can play for a one shot. Like I'm never
mhm.
impressed by you know Edge Lord Broody McBruderson.
Oh, so you weren't a fan of
No,
my rogue?
but full disclosure, that's the kind of character I totally would have played as a
Mhm.
teenager, and on into some of my 20s as well. But
And
that said, if you really lean into, I'm so dark and edgy, and I'm gonna play this character for this one shot, but find a reason to be clingy to these groups. Like, no, you need to hear the rest of my backstory, and you can have real fun with that for a one shot. I mean, that'd be the stupidest thing in the world for a
just
campaign. But
the
could you imagine?
broodiest. I'm just imagining
Yeah,
the broodiest bard that needs to tell his story.
and I'm thinking of it. You're playing a drow rogue who carries around a parasol to keep the sunlight off of them, but it's a black parasol. But always needs to
Absolutely.
tell you in their backstory for everything they do. I mean, that works for a one shot for me.
Yeah, one shots are really the chance for you to do all of those kind of like out there over the top ideas that you can't do for like the time period of a long running campaign, but they'll be
Right.
funny for a little bit. It's kind of like
Oh,
everyone
sure.
the everyone has at least one of these like friends or acquaintances that I love them just like for 2 hours at a time, and then I can't see them for a week.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
everyone knows those people. Those are your characters that you can pull out for one shots.
Oh, yeah. Or, like, I know you've talked about multiple times your centaur sorcerer, the horserer.
Oh no, no, that's not a centaur sorcerer. He's just a
No,
horse.
I apologize. I didn't realize it was just a horse.
Oh, no, it's because the whole idea was back from Pathfinder when I could actually properly do this mechanically. Because Pathfinder and 3.5 had these things called teamwork feats, and they're lovely. And although they take up too much space in feats, I miss teamwork related actions in D&D in combat, but that's just me. But it's a whole thing where he's a sorcerer that was turned into a horse. So most of his spells he can't do the somatic component because hooves.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
Um, but that's also like with an experience with a experienced, not inexperienced, an actual experienced DM for a one shot. They would work with you and like find a way to like make that work. The comic shop near me down in Fremont, Outsider, before
Mm-hmm.
all of this happened, they used to have fairly regular one shot nights, and I played it at quite a few of them. And what was a lot of fun is just coming up with just a character on the fly, like day of. I would go, okay, what class have I not played either ever or in a long time? Because they would all be level 1 or level 2,
Mm-hmm.
which it, you know you knew the death probability of death was high and realistic, which again made it fun because you could charge in, be like, I hope I survive this, or you had good reason to run away from stuff.
Yeah. You have the fun of like, well, hope I don't die, or
Exactly.
oh god, we're going to die, get me out of here. But also, a really fun thing for one shots is that you get to put, like, as a DM, you get to put the players and their characters in situations that don't make sense
Exactly.
because you don't have to connect it to an entire game world. It's just this is here. Like there's a one shot that a buddy of mine bought off of DM's Guild that, like, it's a Halloween themed one shot. I wish I could remember the name of it off the top of my head so I can shout it out and hopefully get one or more of you to buy it and play it and support that creator because give people money for the things they do. It's good. Um but it's a full Halloween themed one shot where you're at this, your classic evil carnival, and you go through and there's stat blocks for enemies of like clown NPC enemies, and like the lion tamer has an undead lion,
Nice.
and like it's completely ridiculous and dumb, but at the same time you get to have the fun as a DM of narrating. And then your eyes look up to the top of the big top and across the tightrope, walking there, seemingly weightless, the main villain. And just like that extra, you can really go that extra with villains in one shots. Because like unless you're playing something like Curse of Strahd or you've homebrewed something where vampires are your main villains, you usually don't get to be that extra.
True.
And
True.
in one shots, oh, it's all about extra, baby.
It really is. And honestly, when it comes to one shots, you can say that that's the magic.
God damn it.
You're welcome.
uh
So dumb.
well, well, hail. That's our show, everyone, and
You're welcome.
that's our show, everyone. That's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Jordan's like, that's our series, everyone.
That's right. Series wrap on Dice Jailers. I'm gonna go deal with this spider plant that's growing too much. No.
Yeah, like you said, like the fact that you can do all this over the top stuff for your one shot, because again, it doesn't have to make any lick of sense
Absolutely not.
to anything. And it can be hard to have some of that, some of that silly stuff. If you are playing a really serious campaign, it can be difficult to find ways to get that in. So this could be a good way to just have those moments of levity that you always wanted to have as a DM, or you can even take your regular group and go, hey y'all, let's do a one shot in lieu of one of our sessions, just to have a bit of a break.
Mm-hmm.
There was
It's like a filler episode in an anime. Just
ah,
drop in a one shot as a group collective dream.
and if you want to get real crazy with homebrew stuff, this is off of a one shot that was available on D&D Beyond, and it's written where it could take longer than a one shot, but it's easily to crunch down. It's called
Mm-hmm.
the Lost Laboratory of Quelch. Like, yeah,
Yes.
but what's so fun about that one is it features, again, we almost brought this one up on our magic items one, the deck of several things.
Yeah.
And what I love about that,
Several things.
it gives you an opportunity as a DM to play with an item you wouldn't normally get to touch, the deck of many things, because it's a terrible idea.
The deck of epilogues.
Yeah, but you have this deck of several things where even the negative consequences, they're all like, oh, they stay tied to this island because that's how it works. So it can be a fun thing to play with. Or again, if you're feeling stupid and you have a one shot, you just take out the deck of many things right at the beginning.
Yep.
Okay, kids, let's see what we get. And you tell them you have a backup character in case.
You feeling lucky, punk?
Yeah. They don't have to draw if they don't want to, but you give everybody a chance. And you can. It even says there are certain deck of many things that don't have all of them. So maybe you remove a few cards.
Yeah.
You remove the void. You remove, I think it's the star, the one that gives you like 10,000 experience points.
Yes.
That way you don't have somebody like mega level. Take out a couple of
Or maybe you do, and that's the weird one shot. Because that's also the fun of one shots, is that you really get to do those like odd setups that you think like this could be this could be fun, but it could be awful. Like my idea, like every DM has the idea of, especially with 5th edition and subclasses, like this was much bigger in 3.5 and Pathfinder with prestige classes, but like running a session or running a game where everyone is the same base class.
Love it.
Those are beautiful for one shots. Cause like, especially with, staying low level, you get your archetype at level 3 in 5th edition. So a party of all rogues can still be pretty versatile and varied.
Boy, like you say that, I think an idea of, okay, you get 4 or 5 players, you have them all create a level 3 rogue, ask them to work together and say, I don't want anyone to duplicate archetype. Ask them to all choose different archetypes, because you let them know this one shot is a heist.
Absolutely.
I mean, you totally Ocean's 11 this thing and go, all right, here's what we're gonna do. It's a heist game. You're all rogues. Pick different archetypes so they can excel in different things.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be all kinds of fun. Or you could be bards, and you're like, hey, it's the Muppets. It's Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
And your whole one shot is the Battle of the Bards.
Yeah.
Like also, and that's great for testing things like one shots are how I've put together all of my different stuff and events that I have for the festivals that I talked about last week. I cultivated those over multiple different one shots of just like, this is a thing, or this is how a skill challenge could work.
Yeah.
As well as you get to put everybody in situations that you're absolutely sure could not happen during a long campaign. Like, everyone wants to play pirates. It's just true. Yeah. Everyone wants to play pirates. You know how hard it is to weave piracy into a campaign? Like, I mean, you do, because DM for a long time, but like, it's so hard to weave in the idea of being a pirate into a campaign. And so, drop a pirate one shot, because everyone wants to.
Yeah, because the hardest thing about it is justifying why these characters are diverting away from the primary narrative.
Exactly.
Or, do these people have alignments, or if you forego the alignment system, which is fine. I'm give or take on alignment. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it can be very handy to help guide your player if you're not sure how you behave in a certain situation.
I like it for character creation and like getting your character's personality set. Because once your character's personality set, then people grow and change, and that's life.
But yeah, you might have that party member where you have that very devout paladin or cleric in your party, and the opportunity to be pirates come up, and there's just no conceivable reason they would be like, yeah, let's abandon this quest for a while to sail the high seas and get into cannon fights with other ships. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a one shot, or using again the Adventures in Ghosts of Saltmarsh as an example, you'd be like, hey guys, we're being pirates today.
Yep. It's also doing one shots and doing these wacky situations gives, especially if you have, I don't know, actors in your group, it gives your actors the chance, especially if there's a heavy theme, to show up to the game in costume and plunk out just that one terrible voice that is awful and you're bad at it. Like, I don't know, if you have a terrible Irish accent and you want to do it as a character, like, you'd never do that on purpose in a long-running campaign, especially one that's like, I don't know, put on the internet weekly for everyone to see.
No one would do that. No one in their right mind.
No, absolutely no one.
If you did something like that, you would just hope that character got killed off so you could maybe come back as somebody a lot more chill.
Yeah, and I mean, probably that character would end up dying of their own mistakes.
using their own power very poorly. And
Uh-huh.
ah, but the other thing I actually wanted to touch on one shots and why I love them. Um, we all have that friend who either loves D&D but never gets to play because they're always so busy,
Hmm.
or we have that friend who has always been kind of interested but hasn't really played before and doesn't want to commit to a character or a campaign or anything like that. And that's where I think one shots are also so great because you can give those people an opportunity to play. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe you know somebody who's just super busy. They love playing. They don't get to play very regularly. Here's a chance where they can join up, they can play, and it doesn't matter they can't be there next week. Or I've seen time and time again where people have known somebody who are super excited about wanting to play, and so they help them create their first character for a campaign. And this campaign is going to go all the way to level 20, and they figure out a few sessions in that maybe they don't like D&D so much, or they find out they really hate this character and they want to try
Hmm.
different stuff. And
Or
it's
they get a new job and they don't have time to be there anymore.
yeah, like there are a lot of things that can happen. So I think if you have that person who's always wanted to play but doesn't know a lot, you're like, well, cool. Let's do a one shot. Let's find a
Hmm.
character that you can lean into, enjoy, see how you feel about it, and if you really enjoy it, come back and maybe play another one shot, or maybe we'll set up a short adventure, or who knows. They might get so into it where you take a short adventure like Lost Mine of Phandelver and run that with them.
And
So
end up running it for like, 2 years rather than, you know, 3 weeks.
because there are a lot of adventures that are pre-written that can follow up that one
Hmm.
perfect.
Like, I know a game that I'm going to start playing with a few friends that they have never played before, but like we did the one shot thing to make sure that they actually this is something they wanted to do, and I'm going to start with with Icewind Dale and then
Yeah,
break it into a bigger world, which you can totally do. Like, if you play your one shot and your people make these kind of ridiculous characters but they would work long term and they want to keep going, you can make like I know some people hate it because it's kind of a trope, but you can make that one shot all a dream, and then these players happen upon each other in town, and they're like, "Oh, you were in. Oh, what does that shared dream mean? Probably nothing, but it's a great hook to get the whole party together."
it is. But the thing is, though, like you bringing it up that way, I don't hate the "it was all a dream" if you're using it as a hook for why do
Mm-hmm.
we all see each other in a dream, because you can have a heroes of prophecy thing come
That's true.
totally out of that. And like and you could have these moments from that adventure they played pop up throughout the campaign.
Yeah,
Like, wait, but this happened, but this happened, and
and
you can do
like,
some really cool stuff with
and
that.
like, worst comes to it, even if you use that trope, you can just get at least one good Biggie Smalls reference out of it.
Which is always the right answer.
Yep, absolutely.
So, out of curiosity, let's say you knew somebody who was maybe a first time or still new to DMing. They
Mm-hmm.
were going to run a one shot. What are some of your one shot commandments or pieces of advice you would want to give to them?
I would heavily suggest to them finding something pre-written.
Yep.
Oh, or if they're going to make something, make it for fifth level characters. It's
Fifth level
because
specifically, or fifth level or lower?
I would say like specifically fifth level, because with a lot of the classes that's their early power bump, as well as that's when the party can start to handle some of the cooler monsters and traps.
That's true.
So like you'll have a lot of stuff at your fingertips to use. I would also say for that first time DM that's picking up a one shot to see if they want to DM more often, pick pick a heavy theme, because that will make it easier for you to organize your thoughts and organize, like, especially if you're writing the one shot. Pick a big, heavy, easy thing. Pick, Egyptian. Pick the mummy's tomb. Pick, Norse with, like, trying to return Mjolnir to Thor or something like that. Even though, I mean, in most canon stories, Thor can just, and here it is. But you know
Oh,
what I mean?
but you said like those things where you already have those touchstones that you're
Yeah,
going to click with. That there's nothing outside of your realm of knowledge.
exactly. And if you're gonna use, I don't know, D&D 5th edition, grab a book like the Tortle package and have your dumb one shot be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I mean, I would so get behind that.
Like,
I
do just do something dumb that's going to be fun, that even if it fails miserably, it's still going to be enjoyable.
exactly.
Cuz that's the biggest thing for like first time, especially first time DMs, is that DMing's not for everyone.
no,
And
it's tough.
so
And
set yourself
I
up for at least having a good time.
I've heard people say that they think everyone should DM at least once. And I would say I agree with one caveat, and that
Mhm.
is everyone who wants to DM should try DMing at least
Mhm.
once. If there's a part of you that is like, I'd really like to try it, but I don't know, then you should do it. You need to
Absolutely.
find out if it's for you. And one shots are the perfect vehicle for that. And I think as a DM, when you're running a one shot, particularly a newer DM, it's really important to run a setting you are passionate about.
Yes. Very
Not
yes.
worry about the players being passionate about it for a one shot. Um, if someone hates the set, like let's just say for some reason you hate Greek mythology because you're like it's so overdone.
Mhm.
I've seen it too much. I'd
The
rather
answer is always Zeus did something terrible.
yeah. I mean, that's fine. Maybe you're a player and you're like, I'm over Greek mythology. That's great, but you'll sit through it for 3 hours to play D&D.
Yeah.
Maybe you're saying I don't want to play an entire campaign that's set in the world of Theros. Fine, you wouldn't want to do that campaign, but a one shot's totally different. I
Mhm.
think if you're running a campaign, it needs to be a world your players are or will become passionate about
Mhm.
because you need them to feed into your world. But as a one shot, I think, especially as a newbie DM, find something that just really clicks with you. Um,
Because
there's a,
one shots can, and in my opinion should be 90% shenanigans.
oh, without question, like
Like I had one shot that I played a while ago that this group is already heavy shenanigans as it is, because they are friends of mine from college that have been playing D&D for way too long. So we've played multiple different game settings, multiple different game systems. And like at one point we played Paranoia, which I highly suggest every D&D group that has played D&D too much play it, because it flips just about every like regular D&D trope and every good thing you should do in D&D on its head. But we the DM posed us the idea of, okay, you're all villains trying to set up your dungeon so that you can prepare a ritual to, like, summon, I can't remember which of the devils it was, but summon a devil to give you massive power.
sure.
And just that premise in itself is the weirdest thing for D&D, because most often people play as good aligned parties, or like at least neutral aligned parties. So like, first, you're all evil. Second, you get to set, like, you as the players make your dungeon or your fortress. And then it flips it around to the DM gets to have their like group of adventurers to go in and try and fight all of your players' traps.
That's marvelous.
Yeah,
That's marvelous.
it was ridiculous, and I absolutely loved it.
And again, but like that keeps kind of hitting on the same note of what we come back to is again find those things that are fun, that are different. Lean
Mm-hmm.
into that with your one shot because um a a very dramatic high fantasy setting can make for a good one shot, but I think that makes for a better campaign. Um,
Hmm.
Coming from somebody who loves big dramatic high fantasy settings,
What?
your Lord of the Rings, your Game of Thrones, Willow, any of those things where it's big, it's dramatic. I want all that. However, if you're playing in a one shot and all of a sudden you wake up in a unicorn's dream and everything's made of candy, but it's all become tangible and it's also alive and attacking you, and one of the players decides, can I try and eat this monster? That shit's fun.
Yeah.
That shit is just fun. And as a DM doing a one shot, I would say run everything strictly by the rule of cool.
Yep.
Throw the rules as written, throw so many of them out the window.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you get a player that says, can I do X, and whatever X is, if it sounds cool, you let them try.
Yep. Definitely cultivate your best Matthew Mercer impression, because you will be saying, you can certainly try, a
Wow.
lot.
It makes it fun because one of my favorite moments ever in a one shot was down outside I was playing, and we're right near the end of the session. And we had some magic items that were given to us by these NPCs we were helping. And a lot of us had these special boots of jumping. And so the big bad is there staring us down. Most of us are out of abilities, out of spell slots, and it looks like we're going to lose. And one of the players goes, okay, I'm going to plant my shoulders against the deck of this airship. I'm going to put my boots on this guy's back and I'm going to jump. And the DM's like, that sounds cool. I'll let you try it. Roll a d20. And he rolled a 1. So he goes, you plant your feet, but not your shoulders. And as you jump, you go flying over the edge of the airship, plummeting thousands of feet to your death. It was then my player's turn next. And so I said, okay, I look at the big bad. I look over the edge of the ship and I say, he said he could get to the ground before you. DM goes, I like that. Roll a persuasion check. At which point I rolled a natural 20. And the big bad jumped over the edge of the airship to his death.
Yep.
And that was how our one shot ended. But I still remember that. And we were all laughing our asses off and having a great time. And the guy whose character fell to the ground to their death, he didn't care.
Right.
This character didn't have to worry about what he was going to do for the next session. If that guy wanted to play that exact same character in the next game he played, there's no problem with that.
Yeah.
Because that is meaningless in a one shot.
Now there was a thing that you said when you were prefacing that story that reminded me of another one of my favorite things about one shots that we haven't touched on yet, and that is, it removes, as the DM, it removes your worry of giving your players too much fun stuff.
Exactly.
Like, you can, like, we did our episode of our favorite magic items a while ago, and
Yes.
As a DM, you can't always fit all of those magic items in a campaign, because either they're too strong and they would make one character just ridiculously out of balance and outpacing the rest of the party.
Right.
But like with a one shot, fuck it. Give them the castle right at the top. Like give them the portable fortress like right at the top and just see what they do with it.
Or shoot, you can be like, oh, what? You said you're playing a paladin? Here you go, Holy Avenger.
Exactly.
Holy Avenger. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You have a one shot where you beforehand you write out a handful of magic items for each class, and they can all be legendary or artifact. Yeah. They can all be that. And when these players roll up their characters, you can be like, all right, cool. You get a Holy Avenger. You get a Vorpal Sword. You get the Robe of the Archmagi. Okay. Have at it. And you can have these like level 2 characters that you're actually throwing pretty tough stuff at.
Yeah.
They have all this gear, and you can make the concept be, okay, you've lied about your adventuring experience. So you're being sent out to take out this big bad. You into a lich, which they still can't kill because they wouldn't have enough combined hit points. But then all of a sudden they're like, oh man, what do we do about this, guys? And just yes and whatever they do. If
Yeah.
those players want to parlay with, I don't care what monster they ran into. I don't care if it's a gelatinous cube with an intelligence of 1. And they're like, we're gonna parlay with the gelatinous cube. I say now, let that gelatinous cube talk, yo.
Yep.
Let it talk. Because you will get you'll get these most memorable experiences. Like just be ready to go with whatever the hell they want to do.
And you'll also get to try out, because I know, again, actors.
Yep.
Like you get to try out your silly voices when you let those things happen. Like trying to imagine a voice for a gelatinous cube. I think Boss Nass.
Ooh, I can see that.
Yeah, just the gelatinous cubes. Like, well, that was almost my
I
Nixon.
a little bit more Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was almost reaching into my Nixon as well.
I mean, that's where I would go. And maybe
Yeah.
you can say to your players, this is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this voice. But you keep doing it because you also know that NPC can't come back and be recurring.
Yes. You know that there's no way those players are going to come back and be like, oh, how's Renzik doing? Like,
Yep.
No, I'm not doing that fucking voice anymore.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, Renzik's dead.
Exactly.
Dead. Like, what happened? He had a heart attack and died.
Brain aneurysm. It's a silent killer.
Yeah. We're gonna resurrect him. The soul is unwilling. Whose soul? Mine.
But you know, you get to pull out your terrible accents, and like you get to, I don't know, do your favorite recreation of someone's accent from a show you watch. Like I use one-shot opportunities to practice my my Sam Riegel's Not the Brave.
Yep.
Because it is a lovely specific voice, and every time someone tries to do it, it is awful and wonderful, but I don't want to hear it for that long.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, like one shots are amazing just in the opportunity it gives you to opportunity. Yes,
we did it twice.
Yeah, I know, 2 times.
Didn't think it'd come back, but bam!
Just like magic. Ooh.
God, we are freaking nightmare beasts today, aren't we? I don't know about you, but it's because I'm just ignoring it now. I don't know about you, but I'm a little ridiculous because I haven't slept much.
You got no sleep because you were downloading a video game and you nodded off before it was done.
You're absolutely right, because I spent the money that I should have spent on asking a friend of mine and paying her what she's worth to redo my dreadlocks, but instead I bought a video game because I have bad money management skills when I'm depressed.
But entertainment's important, and you know what? We talked about some weeks ago, because I had bought the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I had been playing so much of. Man, is it good to just have a new video game sometimes?
Yep.
Like, video games are art, yo, and they don't get enough credit. They're getting more credit than they used to.
Absolutely.
They're a quality storytelling medium. You get a good game, it'd be worth every penny you drop.
And that's a thing to use for your one-shots. Oh my god, pick your favorite video game and just make a rip on it.
Oh man, you just, all of a sudden, the players go into this cave, and they're going, and the caves, it's dark, and they can hardly see anything, and they realize the walls start to shimmer sort of green around them, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they come up through a pipe. And a mushroom kingdom, baby.
See, what you were going to is everything gets dark, and then it all fades blue, and their entire vision is blue, and the only sound they hear is Sega.
There you go. And the next thing I thought there is they're going through. It's like it's dark, and all of a sudden they can hear this. There's this like glowing around them, and they see this small shiny orb ahead of them. And they pick it up, and then there's another one, and they just hear this sound. Waka 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 waka, and it's getting closer, and they're friggin' running from Pac-Man.
That would be a really fun one. Can we do that sometime? Could that be like Can we try and write that up and make that our next like special?
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. But I mean, just honestly, in this 2-3 minutes of when we just kind of just vamp through this stupid stuff about video games, this is why one shots are great. Do I think playing a D&D campaign over the course of 2 years, where you were continually stuck in a maze chased by Pac-Man, would be fun? Absolutely not.
Ah.
Do I think that could potentially be the most entertaining one shot of all time? Because we know in Pac-Man, there's a built-in system where if he kills your ass, you come back to life anyways.
And for a short period of time, you're just eyes.
Yep. I
And
mean,
also, you can beat him when he's not flashing white and blue.
exactly. It's like, so you'd have to find a way to like hunt him down and get him when you can't get one of the big power. I'm with you. There's
Yeah.
potential here for a game.
I'm into it.
Oh, hold on. Like I would play or run something like that.
Yeah, but like that's truly the joy of one shots is just pure shenanigans. You can be a shenanigaizer. You can just be this fountain of jokes, as well as you can drop references to whatever you want, and no matter how like ham-fisted, just shoved into your campaign they are, like it's a one shot. One of your like, it's a one shot. Your intro NPC to the whole thing is Urkel. Do it.
I'm in. I'm so in.
Like,
Or
your big bad is Gilbert Gottfried. Like, meh.
I would happily kill a creature doing a Gilbert Godfrey voice just to make the DM stop talking. So
Yeah, that's yeah.
the motivation's built right in. But yeah, like find the motivation for a story, for a one shot, from whatever gets you enthusiastic as a DM. Like find a pre-written one.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, and then you can change all those NPCs to
Yep.
whatever you want. You can take there's a great one shot known as the Wild Sheep Chase. You could take that and decide, I'm going to change these all into characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe because I love Marvel. Why not? Why not? So
Except for the sheep, which we will change into corgis.
see, I was going to say we change the sheep into Rocket Raccoon, but that works too.
Also, yes.
Yeah,
No, it wouldn't be Rocket Raccoon.
the Groot.
It'd be Howard the Duck.
I mean, possible. It'd be Baby Groot because it's still got to be cute.
That's fair. That's fair.
Baby Groot. But again, you do that stuff because you would have a good time as a DM doing that, and your players will probably enjoy themselves for a couple hours. And if they don't, they'll be trying the stupidest crap in the world anyways. Because why not?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I also just realized this may be our episode with the most references.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But, you know, again, that's one shots, baby.
No, it really is. I mean, well, you even said, as far as try out all those like silly voices, try out your various impressions. Shoot, you don't have to have the bartender who sounds a lot like Sean Connery. Have the bartender be Sean Connery.
Yes. Like occasionally you'll do for us, like, you know what? You find a magical tailor. It's just Tim Gunn.
Yeah, it's Tim Gunn.
Yeah.
It's Tim Gunn.
It's just Tim Gunn. Like, you can do that.
Why is he there? Why not? Like,
and that really is the essence of one shots.
Yeah.
That is just, why not?
Yeah, everything can be like that. I mean, and particularly if you have a celebrity impression that you do a really good one of, or even above average, and
or
if you
on
do
the flip side,
average impression, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Or on the flip side, a completely awful impression.
Those can be even better. Those can be even better. But yeah, like just do that. Like if all of a sudden you're like, well, my only real good impression is Kermit the Frog. Like that's fine. You have your players go talk to the king. Well, so what I'm gonna need for all of my subjects here is you just go full. You say, does the king sound like Kermit? Nah, man, it's Kermit.
Yep,
it's straight up Kermit. Because why not? Why is Kermit in a high fantasy world? Why isn't he?
Because he took the Rainbow Connection.
He did. I love that song. I'm not
right.
even kidding.
Who
I
doesn't?
love that
Oh,
song.
uh,
Who said that every wish that would be heard and granted when wished on a falling star? Somebody thought of that and someone believed it. Look where it's brought us so far. I honestly think that is one of the most profound lyrics ever written.
absolutely.
Ah, I love that song.
Man, now I just want to put King Kermit in so many games.
Now
Just
I want
just
to
so
run
like
up
if
this
we
one shot.
yeah, if we weren't putting this on YouTube, we would just start singing the Rainbow Connection, but haha, don't want to get that chopped away.
Yeah, do that.
But it's 6:30.
Yeah, it
We
is.
should wrap up. Uh and you know what I didn't do that I told myself I was gonna do?
What's that?
I was going to go back and watch our old episode to remember what our sign off that we thought was great was.
You know what's great?
You
I
did?
I did. I saw
Thank
you never
gods.
did. I
So before Bjorn reminds me of what the sign off is, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope that this spurs you on to do some one shots of your own. I also hope this spurs you on to watch our one shot that will be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this
Yeah.
Saturday on this channel.
Please watch it. It will be a one shot that I mentioned in this. It is going to be the Wild Sheep Chase.
Yep.
We're going to be running. I'm going to be running that one. I'm modifying it slightly. It's written for level 5 characters. I'm running it for level 1 characters.
It's going to be a nightmare. My character's probably going to die.
I mean, all of you have a high probability of dying because it's level 1.
Yeah. But for real, come through, watch it, crack jokes with us in the chat.
Yes,
Because especially more than while doing this show, I'll definitely be able to be in the chat more while being a player.
yeah.
As well as get some one shots of your own going. And also do remember that we are going to rebroadcast that one shot special because we're recording it because Thursday is Christmas and New Year's Eve this year, and we don't like. I have some video calls to make for Christmas and New Year's. I've got some family traditions that we do on Christmas Eve that we need to do virtually. So, we're not going to do an episode, but we still wanted to do something extra and fun. So we're going to rebroadcast. We're going to rebroadcast that episode with both of us being here in the chat to crack jokes about ourselves and things that we did. On New Year's Eve, we're going to do that. Still haven't exactly figured out what time we're going to set that rebroadcast at.
Really close to our normal time. I'll probably be in the chat for most of, if not the entire one shot during the rebroadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm staying home for New Year's. I don't usually do much, but what I would normally do is go to a concert, and that's clearly not happening. So I'll put on some music at home. I'll have some good whiskey, and I'll watch us play a one shot, and I'll chat with whoever shows up.
Yep. So please come through for that. Also, do remember for it's the holiday season. Oh, balls! Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Oh God, happy Hanukkah! Yes.
I'm glad didn't forget that. But happy Hanukkah, everybody. Just shout out to all the different holidays that come up through this time. Because everyone should have their fun special time that they love. And just because America is Christmas dominated doesn't mean that you can't enjoy your other holidays too.
Even though they took so much of the iconography from Yule.
Well, yeah, but that's a whole thing.
I mean,
we don't need to do a whole episode on how. Nope. I'm not going to go into that because I've already had a lot of grump about Christianity ruining everything.
I mean, yeah.
It's a whole thing. It's been a long week, friends. Anyway, but be good to yourselves. Enjoy yourselves. We'll be back next week with a topic that definitely exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we've figured out.
Do something nice for yourself this weekend.